Okay class, in this video we're going to discuss how to close up this waistband and prepare it to be sewn closed. By this point you should have one side of your waistband attached. That's this line of stitching right here. The second one. This right here that you're seeing is the stay stitch that we put in the very first step when we were building the skirt. This is where the waistband is actually sewn on, this second row of stitching here. Now, for this step, we'll be using all of the pressing that you did a long time ago to our advantage. So to close this up, you've got your waistband attached on this side, see? And we are just going to fold this closed, like that. Now the trick here is, you want to make sure this edge of your waistband is at least even with the stitch, if not a little farther over. And it should be. So you just fold that closed, and we're gonna pin it, like that. Now you should be pinning through to the other side as well. That will hold all that securely in place. You're gonna wanna use quite a few pins on this process because you don't want your waistband to move. Because once we get everything pinned, we're gonna go to the machine and we're gonna sew right along here and close everything up. So you wanna make sure that this is far enough down this way to get caught when we're sewing from this side. So we just pin this closed every couple of inches or so. You can either leave it down on the table or hold it. You just want to make sure that that waistband is far enough over. This part is far enough this way that it'll get caught when you sew everything. So you'll do this all the way across where you've already attached that one side of the waistband. When you shift and start to move to a new section to pin, make sure you get it laid nice and without as many wrinkles as possible, so you get your waistband nicely laying. See over here where my curve is kicking out? Make sure you're not pinning anything like that. You want to make sure it's nice and covering everything. Remember, as you do this, you're pinning through both sides. So you should see your pins on that side. We're going to keep this up until we've pinned all the way across where we've already attached. Again, like we talked about when you were attaching the first side of the waistband, this is still a constant curve, this skirt piece. So when you're folding over this other side, you're still trying to attach the straight waistband to the curved skirt. So I want you to be careful and make sure you're doing everything as accurately as possible. And a lot of sewing relates to stitching straight things to curved things. It's just a skill you have to work on. It's one of the reasons we do this project. All right, I'm getting close here. I got one more pin, I think, right through there. All right, now I've pinned everything down on the waist part. Now what you also have to do before you sew this is pin your entire waistband straps closed. Let's start down here at the end. You want to make sure that you get your end folded in nicely, and when you close this over, you want to make sure you don't have any ugliness sticking out. One way you can control that is to kind of squish this around if you need to. These little bits that want to stick out, you can control that right now. And you're going to want to put a pin in this way. This pin is going to come in really handy when you go to sew, because this portion of your waistband is going to be really thick. So when you go to sew it and you put it under the presser foot in the machine, it'll be this direction. But you want to use this pin as kind of a handle. You'll have your hand here and you'll have your presser foot here, and it'll try to fight you on going over this bunch. Or you're going to edge stitch, and you use this pin to kind of push against for this little short part. The thickness of all the layers coming together is what the machine doesn't like, so this will come in really handy. Once you pin that, just go on and you're going to pin all the way down here. This is where your pressing carefully comes in very handy. You wanted your two folded edges to be lined up perfectly, and if they're not at this point, you want to do it while you pin it. Hopefully your pressing was accurate, but you just put pins in here too every so often. Since this is a straight line, you don't really have to go in every couple of inches. You can do every 3 or 4, but you're just going to pin all the way down this waistband. Imagine I've pinned and pinned and pinned, and we're coming up to this part, and you just keep pinning. And when you get here, you just add another pin. So the process here is to just pin this entire strap closed, basically. Nothing changes when you get to the body of the skirt. And you'll go all the way across, and you'll do it all the way over here on your other side. You pin all the way down this to this end. And you'll do just like you did on the other end. You'll put a pin in here to finish. So that's the basics of that. Just pin this entire strap closed, and pin the part you've secured to the skirt closed. And that's all for step 11.